Just play that all night, and I could do variations on the Tom's Guitar Show theme. I do that every week anyway. I never really play it the same way twice, but anyway.
I would assume most of our viewers are channel surfing while there's commercials on the other shows anyway. So
yeah, they only get a couple seconds of it. Say, oh, it's a guitar guy on TV again. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to Tom's Guitar Show. I'm Tom. They call me Guitar Tom because I'm often seen with a guitar. And they call me up. They ask me, "Hey man, what's your show about?" I say, "Oh, it's about an hour about guitar players, guitar playing, and all things guitaristic." So if you want to ask me a question about the guitar, the care and feeding of your guitar, what kind of guitar is right for you, how to play a guitar, you're not going to call me. We don't have a phone number. We don't have a phone out. Our high-tech...
We can be tweeted.
We can be tweeted. But our high-tech thing, for many years was to take a little, like lavalier mic, little tie-clip mic, and tape it on top of an old speakerphone. And then we had to tape the thing so it's always hung up with duct tape to take the receiver off. Anyway... it had a cord on it and everything. Anyway, okay,
so that's high tech.
Yeah. Well, we had duct tape.
For us.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, so what am I saying? Oh yeah. So yeah, we could talk about guitars or guitarrones, guitarras, sitars, lutes, vihuelas, banjos, balalaikas, bazookies, bajos, sextos, bajos, cincos, bandurias, bandolims, and bandoras, and mandoras, and mandolins, and banjolins. And, did I say banjos, balalaikas, and bazookies already? I probably did. I don't know, man.
Like you, I've heard that so many times, can't keep track of whether
I've already forgot. I was going to get on the next bit, like accordions and octarinas and pipe organs and piccolos, and trombones and trombomarinas, clarinets and clavinets and clavichords and harpsichords and harmoniums and harmonicas.
And you got out of the caves without mentioning kazoos.
Kazoos, yeah, okay. I mean, we can go on and on. Tubas and timbales, snare drums and serpents. A serpent was a sort of a precursor of the tuba. It was like a snake-shaped thing.
I did not know that.
A Renaissance thing, man. All kinds of weird stuff. They had stuff back there like the crumhorn and the quartholt. They sound like kazoos. But anyway, we could talk about putting a piece of tissue paper over your comb. Anyway, anything that makes music.
I always like those slick magazine covers.
Well, those work pretty well for that.
Yeah.
I never tried it. Tissue paper and wax paper were the two I used, but a long time ago. I have a kazoo now. I don't play it.
A professional kazoo.
Well, it's better. It's I got a metal one or plastic. I may play both, but the one I'm interested in is the humanitone, also known as the snoot flute.
Huh?
You put it up, so you exhale through your nose, and it has a fipple, like a recorder or whistle does,
Yeah.
And then you put it, in your mouth, and so the size of your mouth, like determines the tone. It sounds like you're whistling, but it's a snoot flute. So
I'm not familiar with those.
Oh yeah, well, I think a snoot flute is a slang term. It's a humanitone, nose flute. But you get the breath by exhaling through your nose. Yeah. So it's a sort of personal item. You wouldn't want to just
Probably wouldn't want to share it with just everybody.
Probably not, no. I used to actually have one on my harmonica stand. I used to do this thing, I do the folk singer thing. I used to do the folk singer thing. Usually I just played guitar and sang, but I had the harmonica stand, and then I started to see what other people were doing, so I ended up putting a kazoo on it along with the harmonica, and then I put a snoot flute on the other side. And then I realized this is getting ridiculous, and I decided to take myself a little bit more seriously. Are they singing upstairs, or is it?
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Sorry, I haven't even finished my prologue yet. It sounds like somebody's singing upstairs through the PA system. Anyway, okay, we can talk about politics, world events, or your own personality problems, but we'll keep this clean. This is a family program. Okay. That's right, man. Here comes Mr. Skobinski. I have this ambition. I was going to do it. I have a bunch of really small pedals, and I will confess, last week I went to West Music, where I've been dropping very small amounts of money off, and I have been working as an indentured servant teaching classes and stuff. So I'm trying to get my credit built up there in case I want to buy something. And I might have bought something today, but I didn't, as in a resonator ukulele, an all-metal ukulele, a dobro type, because I could have afforded that, but I didn't. Where was I going with this? I can't remember. I went to West Music. I mean, oh yeah, I know. Okay, so last week I went there to give him a little bit of money, on Tuesday, and I took home 2 very small pedals that they had that somebody had traded in with some stuff, and I think they gave the guy $5 for it, a whole bunch of stuff, for this 2 little pedals. One was a chorus, one was a distortion, which I don't. And I plugged him in. I fooled around with him. The guy said, "You want them? I'll give it to $8 a piece." So I bought both of those, and I was going to take those little tiny pedals, plus a bunch of other little tiny pedals, and line them all up across the floor with a power supply. Plug them into a tube amp, and take an electric guitar, and make all kinds of noise. But I was kind of preoccupied with other things this afternoon I had to do, and then I started thinking, I could just take one little amp, little acoustic guitar amp, and this rather nice Gibson, and
Make some music.
just do some finger picking. Also at my house, my wife and my cat don't like electric guitars,
They live in the wrong house.
I suppose. I have more electric guitars than acoustic guitars, but electric guitars tend to be less expensive in bulk, because to build a good acoustic guitar, it's like it's like a couple $1,000, but electric guitar you can get a pretty good one for like $300 or $400. Anyway,
You remind when I was a kid and played the accordion, we had a Cocker Spaniel. And I don't know if she liked it or didn't like it, but when I played it, she sang along.
Right. I seem like that cat though. She yeah.
Yeah.
There was I'm going to get to my next thing. That reminds me of the Pinkerton Bowden song. Daddy sang bass, Mama sang tenor, me and little brother sang bass and tenor, singing gospel songs so bad it was a sin. Daddy sang bass, Mama sang tenor, me and little brother sang bass and tenor, and all the dogs out in the yard would join right in. Oh, yeah. Anyway, we was poor. They couldn't sing the third. They could only anyway, never mind. But yeah, so anyway, so yeah, the cat. I'm digressing, I guess. But the cat, she doesn't like electric guitars, and she doesn't like women singing. So I had a student yesterday, a young woman with a very pleasant voice, I think, a college, age, guitarist and singer. And she sang rather nicely, so she's singing a little bit, and then the cat comes in, jumps up in my lap, and kind of stares at her and goes, "Wah, wah, wah, wah." She didn't like that, And I think she's given some female vocalists complexes, There was one that I used to practice with. She was actually quite a good singer. She was a voice major in college or whatever, some years before. And we were rehearsing for something, and the cat would sit in her lap, and we were talking things over, looking at some sheet music. And then she'd start singing, and the cat would get up and give her a dirty look and just leave. But this time, the cat actually got up in my lap and stared at her and actively complained. Anyway, and she doesn't like electric guitars either. She'll get up and leave. Doesn't mind banjos. Likes the steel string, the classical guitar. It's fine. Perfectly fine with men singing. That's when guys come in and sing, their songs and stuff, and she'll sit there and
Must be the higher notes she doesn't like.
I don't know. She's got a thing about, she doesn't like women that much anyway. She really likes the guys, especially the more macho guys.
Yeah.
Or short guys from India she likes a lot. But guys from India in general, Indians, she likes them. But she doesn't seem to have any particular preference over, people like East Asians or African or, anything. It's just the South Asians she likes. And
My wife's cats are like that. One cuddles up to men, and the other one doesn't really like much of anybody, but it prefers women.
I see. Yeah. Well, she'll get in a woman's lap sometimes. There's some women she likes pretty well, But she's crazy about guys, especially the tough guys, you know, like the guys who've probably been in bar fights and things, ex-military types and stuff like that. She's crazy with those guys. And but anyway, so I've been digressing. I should be playing guitar instead of.
Yeah, we do call this a guitar show, don't we?
Nah, that's the idea. Anyways, here's my Gibson. I've had it on the show before. I might have brought the Martin on because this case was a little bit closer to grab. So this is made in Montana, Bozeman. I think it's probably more likely made by rednecks. The breedloves are made by hippies from Oregon, but the
cowboys maybe.
Maybe. I think the breedloves are. They had like with the original companies was two old hippies.
Yeah.
So I think they're Bend, Oregon. I think they're hippies. The Montana ones, cowboy types, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of college students. One of the state colleges is there too.
Yeah, but these are like seasoned crafts people, instrument builders. So anyway, this is all made out of like locally grown wood. So the back and sides are walnut as opposed to some sort of mahogany from Central America or someplace. Top is spruce, but that was just common, but they have a lot of spruce. Right. Fingerboard, instead of being rosewood from India, or perish the thought, South America, or ebony from Africa, is black walnut, locally grown. So this is all kind of like a locally made, and it's a really nice guitar, and it's kind of interesting. I've talked about this before, like luthier woods. I was raving about this in the show a couple weeks ago about the rosewood, because now the rosewood is less available. The Indian rosewood that's been there, growing there for, quite a while.
Yeah, turn that up and see if they can see the sides of it on TV. The sides are pretty pretty on that.
Yeah, sides, and then the back. Yeah. This is walnut with a black walnut fingerboard. And thinking of luthier woods, we I should be playing, but so my dad bought a farm about 1965. It was 20 years after the World War II, and he had his GI bonds, and he cashed them in. And this made a down payment on a piece of land in Washington County, which they pronounce Washington down there. Yeah. And
they pronounce the R in Washington down there.
They do, but I'm coming up from the north. But anyway, it was on this. It's on this bluff overlooking the Iowa River, and there actually was a kind of a sacred burial spot for the local natives before the Europeans got there. And in the early 20th century, 1909 or something like that, University of Iowa sent a team out to dig up all the bones of the Indians or the natives, whatever, who were there, First Nations, whatever you want to. It's kind of too bad. And there was a ferry road. There was a road that went down this steep bluff. So there was a ferry boat that went across the river. And then I don't know what my dates were. I know the bridge, there was a bridge, an iron bridge went across, and it was built in 1909 because it had a plate on it. And that was taken down, I don't know, the 70s or something, 1980 or before, I don't know. But an old iron bridge that went across the river with a, kind of a suspension thing, a structure above it. And anyway, but one year, I forget exactly when it was, but it was like 20 years ago, we had this straight line wind event, this real powerful storm that knocked down a whole bunch of trees all over the place. And it knocked down a bunch of old growth, like black walnut trees and maybe there's some oak trees out there. So the thing was, a lot of the area had been lumbered, but not that bluff. It was, they didn't get around. It was a steep bluff. It was really cool, like running around the woods and like that. Because there was like one path. There was this ferry road, and then there was just the woods and like trees that are centuries old. And when those went down, I had this ambition to go in there with a chainsaw and just take some of those logs out with me you know, and then of course you want to dry wood for a long time, you know, you want to like maybe make it to planks and then just like dry them someplace. I never got around to it, and a couple of years ago my father finally sold that farm because we haven't been going out there for a long time. It paid for itself. The fields, he leased the fields out to a local farmer, and that made the payments. And then there were all kinds of like there's a lot of agricultural subsidies, you know, so you could take advantage of that a little bit. So it basically made the down payment, and then the land paid for itself. So it was on the river, Iowa River. You could like canoe down from Iowa City and everything, and there's a pond we used to swim in. Bluegills in the pond, you know. But anyway, all that wood, you know, and I think about luthier wood, like we build guitars out of. For some reason, I think of guitars a lot. That there's a lot of wood out there that sounds really good that people haven't been using. And now I keep reading this stuff about how people are using other woods they'd never thought of before. Like woods that are from Africa and South America.
Some of the woods they have used are probably unavailable now.
Right. Well, some of the woods they used to always use are not available. There are things like rosewood, like Brazilian rosewood has a kind of a chime to it. So if you take up a little board of it and you tap it, it goes ping. Most kind of wood, you take up a board, you tap it, it goes thud. So one of the reasons like classical guitars especially use, like Brazilian rosewood sides and back is the standard, is because it goes ping like that. See? So, but you can't get Brazilian rosewood very easily anymore. It has to be cut down before a certain area. People have made furniture out of it, which I think is, I mean, I guess I don't care about furniture that much. I keep thinking, a piece of furniture, but, a guitar. I mean, I have a guitar from 1820 something, hanging on my wall. I've got one from 1930. I have ones that I got in the 70s when I was a kid. So I got a ukulele that was built in 1958, and I got it in 1969. So used, all made out of mahogany. These things last a long time. Stradivarius violin. Somebody's got a Stradivarius, made in 1713, and it's priceless. So I think, oh yeah, instruments, but all this wood, that people have been using, the Indian rosewood, which isn't as good, people say, now that's gotten more rare. It's on a different sort of schedule. I don't know I've heard the details. But it's harder to get now. They're restricting it. The Brazilian rosewood is extremely restricted. You can do time for smuggling Brazilian rosewood. But there's all this other wood around that actually sounds really good, but nobody ever thought about building guitars out of it. So I say, okay. I like sustainability, actually. I mean, trees grow. If you can get a tree that grows and doesn't have to take 400 years, but only 80 years, you can. There's a thing about some sort of virtue of an old man who plants a tree whose shade he'll never live to sit beneath.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, hardwood trees grow slow.
Yeah.
Now I've got soft maples in my yard, and they go up pretty much like weeds. But
yeah. I know what you do with soft maple. Not much, probably.
Yeah, I pick up the sticks after every wind.
Yeah. I suppose. There are a lot of maple trees out there. This neck, by the way, is maple. See? Huh? You don't usually see a maple neck on a steel string guitar. Oh, that's like an electric guitar thing. But when I play this thing, my thumb is on the back of the neck here. I can feel it vibrate. The whole guitar is alive. Anyway. Golly gee, though, Gibson did something right. I did hear an interview with a guy who set up the shop in Bozeman, and he now builds guilds in California, but he wanted to get out of California. I get the impression he didn't really care very much for what Gibson was doing in Nashville. He wasn't very interested in their activities and didn't think they were necessarily doing a good job, but these people are very separate. Anyway. See if this works. There we go. Yeah, Gibson. It's got this capo. For a while, I had one up here on the top. I always hate that when people have a capo and a tuner on top of their guitar. For some reason, I don't know why it bothers me, but so last week I had actually this guitar and I think this capo. No, it was the Martin, I think. Yeah, never mind. It doesn't matter what guitar. It was a steel string guitar, a capo. When I was teaching my class up at Cornell College. Not Cornell University in Ithaca, but Cornell College in Mount Vernon, Iowa, up in north. But the thing about the capo, and most people who play guitar know this, but what this does is shortens the neck of the guitar. So instead of, what it was, it's like. Also, it makes the guitar go out of tune. So, if you're a singer, for instance, and you can't sing like in whatever key it is, and the key you want to sing in is really awkward. So if I do like. That's don't think twice, it's all right. I'm playing like I was playing in C, but I'm playing in F. Because I've gone up 5 frets, which is a fourth in music. How come 5 frets is a fourth? I don't know, man, just, it is, okay? So my C becomes C, D, E, F. Now I'm in the key of F. Now maybe I didn't want to play in the key of F because it's full of bar chords. No, you just got the F chord, so. You used to sit and wonder why, baby. Like that can be higher. So I've changed the key of the guitar, but also I've turned it into. I've turned my regular guitar, which is basically a tenor, and the guitar consort, into an alto guitar. Or right down there in Mexico, they call it a requinto. I'm going to reminisce. Okay, once more.
It's your show.
Okay, thank you. On this show, I had. I think I brought I have a requinto guitar from Mexico, but the thing is, all the Texans that I had known, who were not of Mexican extraction themselves, would talk about, a requinto. Oh, it's a requinto. So I was calling it requinto. And I got scathing comments in the YouTube clip.
English pronunciation of a Spanish word.
It's requinto. I can say requinto, I think. I mean, we could there are people out there who, in this building who speak Spanish. We could ask them if requinto, well, Mr. Skopinski, how is my requinto? Does that sound okay?
Requinto, yeah.
Requinto.
Are you rolling your R's from top to bottom, though?
No, I don't know how.
The Spanish R should be rolled from top to bottom. So it lightens it up a little bit.
Requinto, place it farther forward. I don't know. I don't.
It lightens it up a little bit.
I would have thought we should ask Mr. Skopinski how to pronounce kielbasa.
Kielbasa? Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
I always heard it in the plural, kielbasi.
Kielbasi, yeah. Yeah, because you got to.
I didn't know why we were asking you Spanish.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Well, I know more Spanish than I do Polish.
I see. Well, with a name like Skopinski, you'd think you'd know how to pronounce things in Polish. But I got a name like Nothnagel, which is Notnagel, and I can't really speak much German at all. But what I say, though, fear is only another number in German. And what comes after fear?
Fünf.
Yeah. See? Anyway. I teach little kids, and they don't know anything about music.
And then what?
Yeah.
What are we going to have on our show next?
It's a family show. We can't talk about that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Depends on your accent, though. There's a lot of different ways to roll your R's in Spanish, because Spanish is a rather broad language, and there are a lot of accents. People speak it in different countries.
Well, I was up in Boston one time, and a woman said, "You're from down south, aren't you?" And I said, "No. Why do you say that?" And she says, "The way you roll your R's."
Yeah. I've got a joke about that, but I can't tell
Yeah,
it.
I'm from south of Boston, but central Illinois is hardly deep south.
No.
I was kind of surprised though. You get down in southern Indiana, and I always thought Indiana's like Iowa and Illinois. It's Corn Belt. But down in southern Indiana, they talk like they do in Kentucky.
Well, they're probably from Kentucky, but I think southern Illinois too, and certainly parts of Ohio are very much, Appalachia. Let's see what I can do with this thing. I'm just goofing off, okay? Capo is also known as a cheater, because if you can't. Now I don't want to brag, but I know something about guitar playing.
Oh,
I don't
good.
know if that surprises you that much, but I keep working on it. If nothing else, I play guitar for an hour every week at Tom's Guitar Show, and other places too, for that matter. But which reminds me,
Yeah, where else do you play guitar?
that's what I thought you'd never ask. So anyway, I will appear at the Tuscan Moon this weekend on Friday and Saturday.
I'll bet you won't be out on the patio this weekend.
I bet I won't. No, I could be out there, but I'd be alone, and it wouldn't help. I don't think anybody wants to have dinner out there. But I will be at the Tuscan Moon on Friday and Saturday. I'm supposed to start at 6. I've been starting at 6:30. Maybe I'll try to get there early. Sorry. It's a different vibe now. The seasons have changed, and we're hoping we kind of start to work our way into the holiday season. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, I'll be at Tuscan Moon. What was I talking about anyway? I can't remember. Is that a sign of senility, do you think, if I can't remember what I was talking about? Or is that just normal?
Well, we are old.
Ah, that's right. Well,
You're not as old as I am, but you're getting there.
that's right. I'll never be as old as you are. But
Yeah, I guess that's true.
yeah, but I'll. But I was just bothering the people behind the counter there. I think Aaron and Juliet's are there, like college age. They're like 19, 20 years old, something like that. Talking about.
Old enough to be our grandchildren.
Yeah, pretty much. I would have to start pretty early, but I'm only 3 times as old as they are. But I could be, I
3 times as old as they are, they're old enough to have kids. So.
I suppose. Yeah. Well, they should wait until they get established and finish college. But I mean, traditionally.
Yeah. Now my kids were slow starters, so they're a lot older than my grandkids. But
Well, I was 37 when my son was born, so I went to the parenting class, and yeah, I didn't look like kids. The other one sitting there, But anyway, never mind. I'm working on becoming the old geezer of PATV. And Phil was the old geezer of PATV for many years. You could maybe work on it, but you're not around enough, really.
yeah,
So it might be me, actually. But
yeah, you are the one that's here. So
well, I'm here a lot. I'm actually on the board of directors, which reminds me, the annual meeting is the 3rd Thursday of November. And as anybody out there who has been a PATV producer, taken the workshops and stuff and let yourself lapse, and there are quite a few people out there. I don't know if anybody's watching. If only one of you is watching, and you say, "Oh yeah, PATV annual meetings here at the Access Center, the 3rd Thursday. It's right about 7, I guess. Going to be our annual meeting, and it's a big shindig. If nothing else, there'll probably be some free pizza. But
that's always a highlight.
yeah, but it's our big thing of the year. It's our big event, and we're going to vote on various things. And foolishly, I've been made. Last December, I was elected president of the board
Oh,
again. And I've been president of the board for a long time. And I'll say that a lot of people who
should we address you as your presidency or anything?
no, because anybody who
Mr. President.
All right, yeah, or the chair, and because people are sitting on me anyway. But the thing about chairing the PATV board is if you want to be the chairman of the board, the chairperson of the board, the president of the board, in a big way, because you want the power and influence you'll have,
I see.
then by no means should you be even on the board, let alone presiding over it, because that's a really bad sign. Basically, it's a thankless job, and it pays just as much as hosting Tom's Guitar Show, as in rien, nada, nothing. But we are going to we're going to have a change in our funding, as in the cable subscription money that has funded this for these many years is going to not.
Going to go away.
It's going to go away. Yeah, and this time next year we'll have to have figured something out. So.
Or we'll go away.
Or we'll go away. Yeah. So it's a vital time to try to keep it together, and
I can't remember somebody said that about democracy one time. The big problem with democracy is only nut jobs want to be president.
Right. Well, that's probably true. we have had people who, on the board, who have, maybe maybe they're just a little bit older than me, a little bit before my time, who didn't get what they wanted in the revolution in the 60s. It didn't, when they were young and idealistic, it didn't happen. So they think, this is my last stand. This time I'm going to make, and of course they ruined everything because of their, now, I'm not a leftist by nature, and I'm certainly not a right-winger by nature. See, I say, if you go too far in either direction, okay, if you go too far to the left, you get Stalin and Mao, Pol Pot, one of those guys, and the secret police come and get you in the middle of the night, and your family never sees you again. If you go too far to the right, you've got
Hitler and Mussolini.
Hitler and Mussolini, and like Pinochet and the South American dictators, and special police come and get you, 2 o'clock in the morning, your family never sees you again. And either way, it's no good. Somewhere in the middle is where you should be. And that's kind of where I am, I think, So I think that as far as like, having this, I knew a guy in San Francisco who wore a little Mao hat before that was fashionable, and he carried around Mao's little red book with him in English translation everywhere. And and we just thought he was ridiculous. And what he didn't realize was that at least 30 million people died in Mao's great leap forward. Yeah. And Mao didn't actually do I don't think he did any favors to the Chinese. I don't know if anybody's a Maoist out there and they're offended, then you're probably used to it by now. So
send us a letter.
Yeah, send us a letter. Yeah, but so I mean, I'm
don't put anthrax in it.
Yeah, please. Yeah. Donut sugar. Anyway, no. So I just anyway. So as far as the TV station, I think it's important we have this resource.
Before we get too far afield, that was 6-ish till 9:30, 10.
Well, 7 I think is when it really is going to start. But
Friday and Saturday night.
Oh, me? Oh no, yeah, Tuscan Moon. I'm sorry. Yeah, 6-ish. Yeah, 6-ish, 6:30-ish, till whenever the party's over. On Friday and Saturday night in beautiful downtown Kelowna, 15 miles south of town, I think, or 18 something. I think I asked the robot. It's not very far away.
Yeah, no, I know. I looked at it. It was closer than I thought.
Yeah, it's right down the road. Kelowna, Iowa. It's a quite interesting little place. Quite a town. You see some other small towns. They don't have like a fancy library and everything like that.
Sign up somewhere near Solon with Kelowna. Mileage to Kelowna. It's a lot closer than I thought.
Yeah.
Don't remember what it is, but looked pretty close.
Well, it's on Highway 1,
Yeah. Which also runs through Solon.
That's right. I run through Solon every week to go to Mount Vernon. So I don't hang around Solon. I haven't stopped there unless it's to be behind somebody who's turning or something. But
you played the brewery up there one time, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I've been to, I have played Solon, yeah. I just not since, I think, a year ago, the last summer here.
I see they've taken over the building I used to work in over here on Gilbert.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That was...
that used to be university stores and the bookstores and hog shops were all in there.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And the cylinder shed, which was part of the store's operation. But.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was going to ask them about a gig. I want a gig where, because I have music in there, the big brewery place. I want a gig where I can play electric guitar, kind of loud, not like rock and roll loud, but kind of my finger style thing.
Yeah, there's some bars downtown where you could play it loud.
Yeah, I want something where people are a little bit older, and I can just do my thing, my finger style guitar, no vocals. Once I start talking, I get in trouble. You know what I mean? But yeah, I was anyway, yeah. So yeah, we'll be in Kelowna, Tuscan Moon. Probably should make a reservation. I don't know what's going to slow down a little bit.
Oh, and you probably ought to restate the date and time for the annual meeting.
I don't remember the date. I think it's the 16th or something. It's November. It's the third Thursday in November. And I think it's open to the regular membership at 7 o'clock here at the Access Center. I have to be there early.
That's the corner of South Dubuque and Lafayette.
Right down by the tracks, yeah. So if you've been you could actually just walk in and say, I want to be a producer. And they'll say, well, you have to take guidelines. And now the guidelines, I think you could take guidelines online, and you come in and pass a test. And Shouldn't be that hard. And then you can be a producer. There's a small fee, annual fee, but you can waive that by, or get that, forgiven by simply volunteering here, which is a good thing to do anyway, because then you get to learn how to use all the equipment and you get to know people. And, if you want to make a TV show or something, you
A
can.
couple of years ago, I couldn't spell producer. Now I are one.
That's right. That's right. called drop D tuning when you tune the sixth string down to a D, and then you get all this stuff down there. You see, boom, boom, D. Anyway, good, clean family fun, I figure. Sorry. Was that my first yawn on the show? It's almost over? Wow. There must be a gig upstairs. Somebody's clapping.
That's the way it is with us old folks. We don't sleep steady at night, so we nod off during the day all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the advantages to standing here, because it's harder for me to nod off while I'm... There's something about imperative sleep, the sleeping you have to do. Like, you know, and I've had these things where I have to kick back in a... actually, a recliner is a really good one. A recliner is better than a bed for that 5-minute, 10-minute nap. But what I've discovered is sometimes if I'm working a lot on a Saturday in the morning, the afternoon, if I'm teaching a lot of lessons or something, or some classes, and then I've got to kind of refit my brain to go and play my gig, that if I have a lie down for a little while and pass out for just 5 minutes, I'm okay. You know, that and a little caffeine, I'm ready to go till midnight. So like at 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, if I, anyway. I was sorry to get rid of my recliner, but I had a leather recliner. It was really nice, but I had a cat who customized it with his claws.
Yeah, cats will do that.
Yeah. This is why we can't have nice things. So. Anyway.
I guess you're supposed to think the cats are the nice things.
Yeah, right. Well, they're nice, you see, but there are people who in your life who are nice and stuff, and they may be really friendly like that, but they'll mess you up. You know, they'll ruin things for you, even though they're just nice. You know, I could reminisce about my many attempts at romance, but I don't think this is not the time or place for that. But I gave that up years ago. I got married, so. But anyway. Yeah.
That's Roger Miller. Somebody asked him about that one time. Said you wrote funny songs about love, and he said, "Yeah, well, love used to strike me funny. It hasn't even took a swing at me in quite a while."
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah. Well. Yeah, that's why you have guitars, though. You see, because I was looking around. I have some guitars. Once I have some electric guitars. I actually had one. New pickups put on one that I've had for a while. And I really like the guitar. I didn't like the way it sounded. Now it's a whole different thing with the new pickups on it. And then I had that one I brought in the show, maybe it was last week, the black Telecaster, Mexican Telecaster that I had the DiMarzio Area T pickups put on. And that's really turned into quite an incredible guitar. And I kind of like the reddish brown, like tortoiseshell, fake tortoiseshell, of course, pickguard on it. There's black and that kind of swirly reddish brown color, and it looks really nice. And I'm kind of in love with those. But I was looking at the wall that I'm going to have to. Actually, my slat wall, I can't take the strain anymore. I'm going to have to take everything off and try to screw it in really
with some
hard.
lag bolts or something.
Yeah, I got screw it in really tight, But because I'm afraid there's going to be a bunch of expensive guitars are going to fall down on top of a bunch of other expensive guitars.
You had that happen once, didn't you?
I've had that happen more than once, and I've had various things fall apart on me. I thought I was doing pretty well, but now that one's holding together as far as the actual slats, but the whole board is starting to come warp away from the wall. So I need to get up in a ladder and work on it. But anyway, so I was looking at that wall, and there are their guitars are grouped. I have them grouped in the sort of things, and there's some guitars that I really kind of like, but I don't have much use for right now, But I mean, I'm sure I will. There's a big jazz guitar that I didn't play for several years, but then I played it most of this last summer at the Moon, through a Roland JC, as in Jazz Chorus 40 amp. But so those are on this side, but right there, kind of in the middle, are these other ones, which are just they're like 3 of them in a row that are like a dream coming true. And they're all different. They all have a lot in common in that they're very thin, hollow body guitars, but they have different kinds of pickups on them. And there are 2 brown ones and 1 turquoise. And but I think, wow, I love those guitars. I should take one on the show, again. They've all been in the show before, but maybe I should take, and I didn't get around to it because I take this on the show. I mean, I'm kind of in love with a number of my guitars, like a bunch of them actually. I sold a bunch and I hated to see them go, but I didn't really love them, Like I liked them. There was I didn't like that much, and they're long gone, So I'm in this thing. So you can. I mean, you can be in love or whatever like that, but after your wife has seen you hundreds or thousands of times first thing in the morning when you stayed up late reading or something like that, and you tell her that joke again, or you tell her some story from your youth that she's already heard a bunch of times, you forgot you told her, and then she tolerates you most of the time. So I think,
Or you remember, but you just tell it out of habit.
yeah, right. But then you look over at your guitar collection and you say, I mean, now there's the kind of love that I get from the cat. Now that's a stifling kind of,
Yes.
rolling around her back, rub my belly now, please, purring loudly, sticking her claws in me. And then she's been licking me more and more. She licks me. Yeah. And the raspy little
Tongue like sandpaper, yeah.
Yeah, licking, and then and then a little biting and stuff, and then she gets violent and bite you. She didn't bite hard or anything like that. And then I give her the old heave-ho, and then she comes back 5 minutes later, usually with her stuffed animal. She has these dog toys that have little squeakers in them and stuff, but she likes to carry them because she really wants to bring me a dead rat as a tribute, but she doesn't have one.
Yeah.
So she brings me her little red fox or whatever, stuffed animal. And so I think, well, this is more fun for her than it is for me, because I have other things on my mind. But anyway, never mind. So I think guitars now. I'd say guitar will never let you down, but they will. They will. I have. A lot of my personal problems can be fixed by instrument repair.
We're probably getting pretty close to the finale.
Yeah, about a minute now. I might as well start playing. Anyway, I'll be at Tuscan Moon this weekend, and I'll be back on TV next week.